Population, when unchecked, increases in the geometrical ratio. Subsistence increases only in an arithmetical ratio. A slight acquaintance with numbers will show the immensity of the first power in the comparison of the second. Thomas Robert Malthus. Hi friends, and welcome to my channel Indus Educare. In this video, we are going to see the contribution of Thomas Malthus in the field of population and its consequences on the society. Thomas Malthus was born on February 13th of 1766 and died on December 29th of 1834 in England. Thomas Malthus was an English economist and demographer best known for his theory that population growth will always tend to outrun the food supply and that betterment of humankind is impossible without strict limits on reproduction. Thomas Malthus was educated largely at home until his admission in 1784 to Jesus College, Cambridge, where he studied many subjects and took prizes in Latin and Greek, graduating in 1788. He earned a Master of Arts degree in 1791, was elected a Fellow of Jesus College in 1793, and took holy orders in 1797. In 1798, Thomas Malthus published anonymously an essay on the principles of population. In subsequent editions, published from 1803 to 1826, he expanded his argument, adding more factual material and illustrations. Malthus also published a variety of pamphlets and tracts on economics and the book-length summary Principles of Political Economy in 1820. Thomas Malthus' ideas influenced public policy, such as reforms of English poor laws and the work of economists, demographers, and evolutionary biologists, notably Charles Darwin. Malthus' work, reigned in economic optimism, helped to justify a theory of wages based on workers' minimum cost of subsistence and discouraged traditional forms of charity. Thomas Malthus, an English economist and demographer who is best known for his theory that population growth will always tend to outrun the food supply and that betterment of humankind is impossible without stern limits on reproduction. This thinking is commonly referred to as Malthusianism. In 1811, he met and became close friend with English economist David Ricardo. In 1819, Malthus was elected a Fellow of Royal Society, and in 1821, he joined the Political Economy Club, whose members included Ricardo and Scottish economist James Mill. In 1824, he was elected one of the 10 Royal Associates of the Royal Society of Literature. In 1833, he was elected to the French Académie des Sciences Morales at Politics and to the Royal Academy of Berlin. Malthus was one of the co-founders in 1834 of the Statistical Society of London. Now, let's see the Malthusian theory. According to Malthus, the power of the population is superior to the power of the earth to produce subsistence for man. Amongst the well-known theories of population, the Malthusian theory is one of the oldest. Thomas Robert Malthus, an economist, explained his theory in his 1798 essay on the principles of population. He then modified some parts in the essay next edition in 1803. By nature, human food increases in a slow arithmetical ratio. Man himself increases in a quick geometrical ratio unless want and vice stop him. The increase in numbers is necessarily limited by the means of subsistence. Population invariably increases when the means of subsistence increase unless prevented by powerful and obvious checks. Let's see the major elements of Malthusian theory. The first, population and food supply. Malthus explained that the population grows in geometrical progression. It increases in order of 2, 4, 8, 16, and 32, and so on. At this rate, the given population will grow double itself after 25 years. On the other hand, food supply increases in arithmetic progression. It grows in the order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and so on. This is because of the operation of the law of diminishing returns in food production. This graph shows the Malthusian theory in short. The second is checks on population. According to Professor Malthus, a disequilibrium situation arises when the rise in population is more than the rate of increase in growth of food supply. This is on account of higher rate of growth of population than that of food. As a result, many people will not get even subsistence food. They will die due to lack of the minimum subsistence food for them. In their struggle, they are subjected to civil wars, starvation, famines, epidemics, floods, and other natural calamities, etc. Malthus called these calamities as positive checks. On the other hand, there are preventive measures which are man-made checks. However, these two types of measures, that is, natural or positive checks and preventive checks, are explained below. This schematic shows the increase in population, food supply, results imbalance in population increase and food supply, and preventive and positive checks. The third point is natural or positive checks. The nature has its own checks to control the increasing population, and it brings the level of population to the level of available food supply. These natural checks are famines, epidemics, wars, earthquakes, floods, etc. It must be remembered that these checks are applied by nature itself when man fails to check the excessive growth of population through its own efforts. The next point is preventive checks. According to Malthus, preventive checks help to diminish the rate of growth of population and brings it in the line with food supply. The preventive checks are simple living, late marriage, self-restraint. These two measures can go a long way to control population and check the operation of destructive positive checks. The question is Malthusian theory applicable to India? Since India is an overpopulated country and all the features hinted at by Malthus are found in such countries, therefore its applicability is almost a true factor. The following points highlight the facts. First, India's population is rapidly increasing at the rate of 2.3% per annum. Second, India is facing food shortage even today in spite of the fact that it has experienced green revolution. In 1997, Indian government is planning to import about 2 million tons of food grains. Third, standard of living is another indicator. Indians have a poor standard of living as compared to the people of other nations. About 39% of the people are below poverty line. The fourth is life expectancy is also poor in India. Average life of an Indian is around 60 years, which is quite low as compared to the other nations. The fifth is birth rate in India is as high as 30 per thousand. This is quite high. No other nation is facing the problem of such high birth rate. Preventive checks, that is family planning, are not much popular. The sixth is death rate is also as high as 11 per thousand. It shows that natural calamities like floods, diseases, hunger, and squalor are not under full control. And the last, marriage is a universal phenomenon in India. Marshall recommended self-restraint, celibacy, late marriages, etc. to control population. In India, early marriages is a social evil. Hence, high growth of population in India. The fact is that by 2025, India's population is expected to reach 1.5 billion. Will this increase produce a demographic dividend or lead to a Malthusian catastrophe? Different methods for predicting India's future population give radically different results. In a vast country like India, fertility rates show significant regional differences. For instance, in the 1990s, the fertility rate in Kerala was 1.8 per woman, while it was 5.1 in Uttar Pradesh. Applying the same model, but at the level of each state rather than nationally, yields a substantially higher national population because the high fertility state produce a more offsprings and hence gain higher weightage over time. This raises the question of the appropriate scale at which the models should be applied. So, what does the future hold for India? How does India compare with its neighbor China, which also has comparably a large population? The researchers note that China is about 3 to 4 decades ahead of India because of its massive investment in universal education in the 1950s. The education pyramid of India looks similar to China's in 1980, and the projected education pyramid for India in 2050 looks similar to China's today. Still, the question is, why was the Malthusian theory of population criticized? Since its inception, the Malthusian theory attracted criticism because of its principles. Below is the summary of some of the grounds on which the theory has been criticized. Malthus made gloomy forecasts about the economic conditions for future generations based on population growth. However, contrary to the theory, the human population has not increased rapidly and the production of food has increased due to the technological advancement in the agricultural and other food sectors. The living standards of the human population have improved. One of the major supporting factors behind Malthus' theory was that food production would not be able to keep pace with population growth due to the operation of diminishing returns in agriculture. Malthus stated that the fertile lands used for food production were available in limited quantities, which is why food production can never rise faster than population. However, he never took account of different types of food production whilst considering the size of the population. Malthus did not provide calculations for the arithmetic growth of food and the geometric growth of population. Still, the theory is more important. Let's see the importance of the theory. Despite the criticisms of Malthusian theory, as pointed out above, there are certain elements of truth which cannot be ignored. This theory holds good in underdeveloped countries like India, China, Pakistan, and Indonesia. And now, in the end, the conclusion of Malthusian theory. This theory has come out true in the underdeveloped countries of Asia and Africa. Even some of the leading economists of the world like Marshall, Ely, Taussig, Patton, Walker, and Clark observe that the Malthusian theory has remained appropriate and undestroyed in the process of controversy. In short, Malthus may have stated the partial truth, nobody can deny it. Thank you, friends, and good luck.